Hi, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about everything I read in the month of September, as well as some of my favorite things from September. The first book I read in September, I actually didn't get read until like the second week of September, like the 10th-ish. I had training in a town that's like an hour and a half away from where I live, and I should have been listening to audiobooks, and I just totally wasn't. And I was actually reading this while like in between training sessions and on my lunch breaks, and that book is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a really fun adventure. It tells the story of Laszlo Strange, who was a war orphan raised by monks, and one day when he's sent to do a task at the local library for the monastery, he falls in love with books, and they find him 3 days later still reading in the basement, and they decide he's meant to be there. So he is not a scholar because that is a position that is reserved for the more well-off people in society, but he gets to be like a librarian, like a page. The pages librarians are somewhat like assistants to the scholars and help them with their work. Laszlo is obsessed with the lost city of Weep. One of the elderly monks at the monastery told him about it as he was growing up, and he became obsessed with it. And one day, actually, the name of the city disappears, and they just refer to it as Weep. And Laszlo knows that this has something to do with magic, so during all of his free time at the library, he is looking up information on Weep. He's trying to develop what the language would have looked like, what their history was, and then it all comes in handy because one day the famed warriors of this lost city of Weep show up asking for people with specific talents that will travel with them. And the story kind of evolves from there. Obviously, Laszlo goes with them, and yeah, can't tell you much more than that because there's a lot of surprises in the book, and I really enjoyed them. There are some YA tropes, YAE tropes in this, but none that like weren't redeemable, or none that like, I don't know. I guess it just didn't bother me because the story itself was so good. And I'm super excited because the second installment in the series is coming out this month, Muse of Nightmares, and I will definitely be picking that up on release day. The second book that I read in September was The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and this was a reimagining of the Iliad, and it tells the story of the sacking of Troy and the Trojan War from the female concubine's perspective. It opens with Achilles conquering a Trojan city-state outside of Troy and taking the queen as his personal concubine. That's like his prize, and it's just very interesting because, again, when you read in high school like the Odyssey and the Iliad, you were shown like what a hero is, like what is masculine and how you win wars, and then when you are forced to see it from the female perspective, you just realize like, how are they considered heroes? Like, they're not heroes, they're putting swords in the stomachs of pregnant women. The third book that I read in the month of September was Only Human by Sylvain Novelle. This was the third book in the Themis Files. I believe it is the last book, but I'm kind of hearing now that it might not be. I thought it was just a trilogy. I hope it is because I loved the first two books in this series. I think I gave them both like 4.5, 5 stars. It is told in like a found file format, so it's like journal entries, transcripts of recordings and interviews and conversations and what have you, and it is about how one day a young girl falls in a hole, and inside the hole she is sitting in the hand of a giant mechanical something. Years later she ends up being hired by the government to travel the world and find the rest of this robot, because it is actually a humanoid like robot, but the knees bend backwards. And I'm kind of gonna have to explain this. My disappointment in this is kind of like when I watched Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, because I felt like Signs, the Alien movie, was so scary. All the building action and everything that was happening was so scary. And then you saw the alien at the end and you were like, oh. Well, that just ruined the movie for me because it was scary up until I saw this like janky freaking... But that's how I kind of felt with this book, because we've seen too much. I like the mystery, and there's no more mystery, and it's just not as interesting. So I ended up rating this 3 out of 5 stars, and I kind of just hope we just end the series here. The fourth and unfortunately last book that I read in the month of September was The Children of Hurin by J.R.R. Tolkien, and this is one of the stories of the Elder Days, and it tells of the first Dark Lord Morgoth. Now, I gave this a 5 out of 5 rating. I really enjoy the story, but you kind of have to rate it based on the idea of it, because like the stories of the Elder Days, the 3 books that are out now, they were never finished. Tolkien wrote out like the bare bones of them, and I guess The Children of Hurin, the first book in like the 3 Elder Days, not trilogy, but the 3 books of the Elder Days, this is the most complete from what I'm told, and there is a complete story, but there's not much like character growth, there's not much internal dialogue, there's not any. It's just like a story, and it moves from scene to scene to scene, and again, you have to kind of like go into that knowing that, otherwise you're going to be kind of disappointed. But it's Tolkien. I loved it. I love the idea of it. It was truly heartbreaking, and I understand like why he never really ended up publishing this one while he was still alive, and why like The Lord of the Rings is just the more popular of his books. But I still highly recommend this. It was really interesting to even see like get a perspective of an author's like kind of finished work and his thoughts on it, and also the appendixes and genealogies and the prefaces are just really great to read too, to get just a new perspective. And yeah, so now I'm going to get to some of my favorites. If I like this format, maybe I'll keep it going. I'm hoping to read more books, and I don't want like hour-long recaps, but yeah, we'll see going forward. So the first thing I'm going to start with is I went and explored a little bit of New Haven, Connecticut yesterday, and I found Atticus Bookshop, which is a cafe bookstore combination, and one of the things I got there was this little tote bag, and it says, "I have always imagined that paradise will be a kind of library." And I absolutely love the colors. It was also my birthday this month, so I got some really thoughtful gifts from friends. My friend Sam knew how much I loved the book Circe, and she got me this candle. So obviously 2 of my favorite things, a favorite book, and I love candles, and it smells so good. It's Ocean Cassis. I can't say, I think it's a flower, cassis, gardenia, and coconut, and this is from the Page Candles, and I'll link them down below, and oh, it just smells so good. My friend Sam also collects feathers. She always finds feathers. They're always like falling on her, and she collected them and made these for fall for all of her friends, little fall dream catchers. Forgot the word there for a second, and yeah, it's really pretty. And then my friend Steph, who is also very talented, has been getting into stained glass, and she made this for all of our little group of friends, and I just absolutely love the colors and the design, and I have to be super careful because Kitten, as we speak, is eyeing it right now, trying to figure out how to destroy it. Then I've actually waited, I got this in August, but I waited to talk about it because I wanted to see how it did a full month on my face, and I don't know how I've gone so long without face serum, but this is, oh, I'm sorry, it's so bright. It's from Rooted Earth Farm. I got it at Coven's Cottage in Salem, and it's just their face serum. It's the herbal blend. I think they had a lavender blend too. And again, I can't believe I've been going so long without serum, and my skin has been so hydrated and not dry and not getting like, you know, when you put on makeup and it's just not sitting right, and I can't believe I've been going so long without this. I keep saying that, but it's true. Definitely don't mention enough is Annie's Natural Essentials. I love absolutely everything they do, and I am an affiliate for them, so I'll link them down below. That's up to you. You can just go to their website. I literally just met her at a local Connecticut market, like a maker's market, and I got some of her products, and she's the nicest woman, and like I said, she's a Connecticut local. She puts a lot of love into all the work that she does, and I have never had clear skin. I use her face lotion too, but her face wash is like the first one that has ever been gentle enough for my skin, and again kept it hydrated even in the winter where it gets like really dry. That note, she also released her new fall scents of her soy candles, and she sent me the Pumpkin Crush, and oh my gosh, I think I have like a third of this left, and it's October 1st today when I'm filming this because I burned this down. I'm burning it constantly, but there's still, like, for burning it constantly, there's still like a decent amount left, and I've been burning it for like a month and a half. Okay, so that's it from me. That is the 4 books that I read in the month of September and some of my favorite things from September. If you like this format, give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below if you want to keep seeing favorites and some of the books, or if you'd prefer 2 separate ones, especially with the fall months coming up and the holidays. There's going to be a lot more probably favorite things, and I have reached 60 books read as of today, 61 books actually as of October 1st. I would love to reach 100, so I think that the next 3 wrap-ups are going to be kind of long, but again, let me know down below if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you later.